So I haven't long got back from watching The Amazing Spider-Man. I watched it in 2D as opposed to 3D. Because we heard a lot of people saying online, and just like some people we know who have already seen it, they were saying how the 3D sucks. Like, it was post-converted, so that's never a good sign. And we just heard like a lot of people saying that the 3D was pretty bad. It didn't really work too well, the effect. So we just watched it in 2D. So apparently we didn't miss out on much. So the story of the movie, you know, Peter Parker gets bit by a spider, becomes Spider-Man, yada yada yada, fights crime. And in this case, we have the Lizard as the villain. And this is like the first ever time the Lizard has been seen in like a live action film of Spider-Man. So, you know, it's a big deal, I guess. I mean, the Lizard was a cool guy, and he's like a cool villain. And yeah, so it's just cool to see him in a live action film, I guess. So I did like the film. I feel as if it was better than the 2002 Sam Raimi Spider-Man. It's better than Spider-Man 3. Like, I liked all of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films. It's on par with Spider-Man 2, I guess. I wouldn't say it's better. I would say it's on par with Spider-Man 2 from the Sam Raimi trilogy. Like, I really, really like that film. I really like Spider-Man 2. I think it's a great film. And I would say this is on par. I'm almost tempted to say it's a bit better. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I wouldn't go as far as to say that, I don't think. But this is a good movie. I really liked it. It's a really fun movie. So for this, they tell us the origin story again. Like, it's not in a case, like, this is a reboot. For those of you who don't know, they've just reset the Spider-Man storyline, and they're telling us it again. Most people know that by now. So they tell us the origin story again, like him getting bitten by the spider, becoming Spider-Man, Uncle Ben getting killed, which pushes him over the edge. I'm so sorry about the Uncle Ben gets killed spoiler. Most people know that though, and it happens in the first 20 minutes, so hopefully I didn't piss off too much people there. Okay, so onto the movie. The origin story, so they tell us like the origin story again, like Peter Parker getting bitten again. So the plot points are the same, like Peter getting bitten, Uncle Ben getting killed, Peter discovering his powers, but the way these things happen, like, it's the same as the Sam Raimi film in terms like the plot points are the same, but how these plot points occur are different. For example, in the Sam Raimi film, the way Uncle Ben gets killed by the robber and how Peter lets the robber escape is different. It's the same for this movie. Well, it's not the same. I mean, like, it's different. Like, Peter still lets the robber escape, but the scenario that he's in when he lets the robber escape is different. And when he kills Uncle Ben, like, what happens, like the way he kills Uncle Ben is different as well. So it's the same plot points, but how we arrive at these plot points is different. So it doesn't, although it's like the same origin story, it's kind of told kind of differently, if you get what I'm saying. And I didn't mind watching the origin story. Like, it's the same plot points, like I said, so you know what's going to happen. But it's fun watching how these things are going to happen. Like, they don't really change much. It's pretty much the same. But like I said, plot points are the same, but how we get to these plot points are different. But I was entertained. I found the origin story was really interesting. I was entertained by it, even though I had seen the Spider-Man Sam Raimi film, because that was the thing I was worried about when I was watching this movie. Like, I was getting pretty excited to watch this movie when I realised that I have the day off work on the Saturday. So I was like, oh, okay, I can definitely see this movie on the Saturday. So I was getting like excited because I knew I was guaranteed to see this movie no matter what on the Saturday. So I was getting like excited for it. But the one thing I was always concerned about before I saw this movie was the origin story. Like, would it be boring to watch? Because I mean, we've already seen this in the Sam Raimi film, and from what I've heard, I already heard about it. Like, the plot and what happens is the same. Like, nothing's really changed. So I was kind of concerned about it being boring or repetitive because we've seen this before. But I didn't mind. I liked it. I was fine with watching the origin story. In fact, I would say this origin story is it's done a lot. It's more well done than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man film. I felt as if the origin story was really entertaining and interesting. It was well done. And it's a lot more drawn out and slow paced than this film. Like, he doesn't suit up into the Spider-Man suit until like the 30-minute mark of the movie. Or maybe even like 40 minutes, I would go as far to say. Like, he gets bitten by the spider about 15 or 20 minutes into the movie. And then he doesn't even dress up in the Spider-Man suit until like 30 or 40 minutes into the movie. So, it's like, it's a lot more drawn out. It's a lot more slow paced. But like, it's developing stuff a lot more. and it sets things up for the sequels. This film sets up a lot of things for Spider-Man 2. Norman Osborn, they like mention his character a lot, and well, I'm not going to get into it anymore because of spoilers. But they spend a lot of time setting up a few things for the sequel, like the Daily Bugle is briefly mentioned, like rewards, like a reward shot for the Lizard, that sort of stuff. So I assume the Daily Bugle will be introduced in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Okay, so yeah, basically the origin story was excellent. It's really well done. It was more so well done than Sam Raimi's film. I just found it really entertaining to watch. So the next main point, which a lot of people are going to be like discussing, I guess, is how was Andrew Garfield, who played Spider-Man in this film, as opposed to Tobey Maguire, who played Spider-Man in the first 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. After watching the original, like, I like Tobey Maguire in the Sam Raimi films. I felt as if he did a great job, and I couldn't really see anybody else playing Spider-Man after I saw the original trilogy. I was like, when they reboot this, I just can't imagine, I can't accept anyone else playing Spider-Man. I know some people hate Tobey Maguire, but I just really liked him as Spider-Man. I felt as if he did a great job. So when I saw Andrew Garfield in the trailers, like, just judging from the trailers, I was like, I didn't like the looks of it. He just didn't look right for the part, and his voice, I just wasn't a fan of it. I just felt as if he wasn't right for the part. Like, the only film I had seen him in was The Social Network, so I was just like judging him from The Social Network and the trailers for The Amazing Spider-Man. But literally as soon as the film started, and like it starts off with a school scene, well, it starts off with like a flashback scene with him as a kid, and then immediately after, the next scene is him in school, and immediately I was sold on him. Like, he's likable in the school. He's just like really dorky and awkward and goofy, but he's likable though. He's fun, and he does a great job as Spider-Man. I'm not sure if he's better than Tobey Maguire. Like, personally, I'm not sure. I would definitely say he's on par with Tobey Maguire. But as for whether or not he's actually better than Tobey Maguire, I'm not sure. Like, there might be the nostalgia factor might be affecting me. Like, the nostalgia factor, the fact that I've seen Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man first, that might be the thing stopping me from saying that Andrew Garfield is better than him. Like, I'm not too sure on that. So the nostalgia factor, the fact that Tobey Maguire came first as Spider-Man, that might be what's kind of biasing my opinion. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure. He's definitely on par with Tobey Maguire. He might be better. I'm not quite sure what to say about that. Andrew Garfield might be better than Tobey Maguire. The thing is, it's the nostalgia goggles. I can't really take them off. I find it difficult to try and judge this without Tobey Maguire's nostalgia-ness kind of clouding my judgment, I guess. But yeah, Andrew Garfield is great as Spider-Man, and all of the acting in this film is fine. Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy is a lot more likeable than Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane. Like, personally, I'm not a fan of Emma Stone. I find her really annoying, but the script made her likeable in this. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Emma Stone. She's kind of annoying, but the script made her likeable in this. Like, the script's fine in this, and she plays the part fine, I guess. But the script is what made me like her. Like Kirsten Dunst in the original trilogy, like in Spider-Man 3, she was a bitch. She was just really annoying, but that's down to the script, not the actress herself. But yeah, like, Gwen Stacy is more likeable in this film than Mary Jane was in the first 3 films. I haven't read any of the comics. I've said this like time and time again. Haven't read any Spider-Man comics, but I am familiar with the Gwen Stacy storyline. Like, I know how it ends and how Mary Jane is introduced. And the way it ends, when I heard it, I was like, wow, that really happens in the Spider-Man comics? That's okay, whoa. I was like really surprised to hear how it ends, and I'm hoping they follow the comics. I hope they follow the comics closely there, and the Gwen Stacy storyline is handled how it is in the comic books, and the same for the Mary Jane storyline. I hope they follow the comics closely here. Like, I would like to see that. I would love to see that, and you know, like in an actual film. Like, that would be cool to see. And like, so my judgment isn't biased. Like, some fans might be biased, their opinion, because they might be expecting certain things from certain characters and certain scenes and certain villains and, you know, stuff like that. because of what they have seen in the comics. So my opinion isn't like biased by any stuff like that. Okay, so I just stared at my notes for like 20 seconds there, so that there's a jump cut. So let's just talk about the action scenes for now. The special effects are great. The special effects are they're just great. There's some damn good effects here. Like there's a lot of CGI, but it is good CGI. It all works fine. The lizard is the villain of the movie, Dr. Connors. Like everybody knows this. They show it in the trailer all the time. And the lizard itself looks. I mean, the special effects on the lizard are great, but I'm not a fan of how it looks, how the lizard looks. I like the tail, the body, that all looks fine. And he looks really badass in that lab coat as well. Like I have seen the cartoon TV series as a kid, which I can't remember much about, but I do remember how the lizard looks in there. So that's kind of the image of the lizard I have in my mind, because the only thing to do with Spider-Man I've seen is the TV show, the cartoon TV series as a kid, and I can't remember much about it. But the image of the lizard is from that cartoon show is the only image of the lizard I have in my mind. Like I don't know if he looks different in the 60s cartoon show or the comic books, but the image of the lizard from the cartoon TV show is what's been like etched into my mind. So watching this film, he looks fine and the effects on him are great, but his face looks off. I'm not quite sure what it is. I guess it's because in the cartoon his like face was like longer. It's like he had a snout. Like his face resembled more of a crocodile, I guess. Like I always called him the crocodile. That's why I said whenever I talked about Spider-Man I was like, oh, do you remember the crocodile guy? He was a great villain, wasn't he? And then like it's only just recently after this film I've learned that his actual name is the Lizard. That's what like Spider-Man fans call him. Well, I've always called him like the crocodile guy. But his face is like a lot longer and it's like a snout. That's what my friend and a lot of people describe it. Like a lot of people complain about this, like he's supposed to have more of a snout. And I do agree with that. I'm not a fan with how his face looks, but it didn't bother me majorly or anything. Like I was fine with it in the end. It didn't bother me too much. So the special effects are great. Like Spider-Man swinging through the air looks so much better than the original trilogy. Like in the original trilogy, I felt as if Spider-Man swinging through the air looked great. I was so fine with that. And in this movie, it looks better. But yeah, like it's fine though. The special effects, great stuff. Wow, what's the action scene? That's what I was talking about. So the fight scenes with the Lizard and Spider-Man, they are mediocre at best, I would say. None of the fight scenes in this movie really stand out. None of them compared to the fight scenes in Spider-Man 2 and 3. In fact, even Spider-Man 1, like all of the fight scenes in the original Sam Raimi trilogy and action scenes are a lot better than this film, I would say. In this film, they're just really mediocre. Like the school fight scene with the Lizard and Spider-Man, I wasn't a fan of it. Well, yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. It was just really mediocre and average. And throughout that fight scene, Spider-Man constantly cracks all these one-liners and jokes like, someone's been a bad lizard. He says that. He says a lot of one-liners, which I found really annoying. And I did hear this. A lot of people were saying like they like how Spider-Man's doing all these one-liners constantly throughout the film. Apparently it's more true to his character in the comics. Like apparently he never shuts up in the comics. Like he's always spouting off these really bad one-liners. So he does it in this film, which I guess is closer to the comic book character. But I didn't like the one-liners still. I don't care if it's closer to the comic book's personality. I just didn't like those one-liners. They were just really bad and forced. I was just like, really? They are just bad. They were awful. Wasn't a fan of them at all. So the fight scenes are just really mediocre. And the first two are actually badly shot. The subway fight is really badly shot. It was kind of difficult to tell what was going on in some like shots. Some of the moves that Parker makes you just don't see. So you just like all you see is some guy like falling to the floor. And you're like, oh, I guess Peter punched him or something. Like it's just badly shot. Like the camera's like in this really stupid position, or it cuts too fast, so you can't really comprehend what's going on sometimes. And the same thing happened in the first chase sequence. I'm talking about the chase sequence where Peter's being chased by a bunch of criminals in an alleyway. Like he starts a fight on someone because he thinks this is the guy that killed Uncle Ben. So he's chased by this guy, the guy and his gang of like other gang of friends. He's being chased by them, And I felt as if that chase scene was badly directed, it was badly shot. You couldn't really tell what was going on, in my opinion. The rest of the action scenes were like shot though. It was like the first two action scenes, the chase scenes and the fight in the subway, they were really badly shot and I just couldn't tell what was going on. But all of the other fight scenes or action scenes, they were shot fine. They were just fine. You could tell what was going on at least, as opposed to the first two action scenes. But yeah, overall the fight scenes are just really mediocre. There's nothing too like innovative, I guess. There's nothing creative against these about these fight scenes. They're just really bland and average. Like I wouldn't say I was bored in them, but they just weren't too interesting either. They were just there. I was just like, oh, okay, just move on with the story. Like it is more about the story for this movie. The story's like a routine superhero movie, but it's a good one. Yeah, I'll just say that it's a good one. It's a routine superhero movie, but it's a good one. It's an entertaining one, although the action scenes, in my opinion, were pretty bland. Like, they're not boring, but you're kind of like, okay, can we just get on with this and just progress, like, move on with the story? Like, I wasn't a fan of the fight scenes, but they were okay. Moderately entertaining at best, I guess. I do like how Spider-Man is using his web as an actual weapon in this film. He didn't use it much in the Sam Raimi trilogy, but in this he's actually using his web a lot as a weapon. Like, he uses it against the lizard a lot, especially in the school fight scene. Like, that becomes like a major, like a big part of it. This film is played a lot more seriously. It's a bit darker, and it's played a lot more seriously than the Sam Raimi trilogy was. Like, there's a lot of really cringy, stupid, cheesy moments or jokes in the Sam Raimi trilogy. Now, this film has a lot of jokes as well, but they're nowhere near as bad as some of the jokes in the Sam Raimi trilogy. Like, the humour in this film, it's fine. It worked. Like, there wasn't anything which was too goofy or anything like that. Like, nothing made me mad or made me roll my eyes or anything like that. Like, I felt as if it was fine. Like Peter, like, breaking stuff in his room because he suddenly has super strength and he doesn't realise how strong he actually is, and he ends up like breaking the tap and stuff because he doesn't realise how strong he is. I was fine with that. None of it made me laugh out loud, but I was kind of like, yeah, sure, that's funny. And like a bunch of people were laughing in the cinema, but like they didn't make me mad for laughing because I was like, yeah, I understand why someone would laugh at that. Like when someone laughs at a really stupid joke in a movie, I'm just like. Like I really, it can grind my gears really easily. One thing, there was only one thing that I actually laughed out loud at, and it wasn't even a joke. It wasn't even a joke, and Liam, one of my friends who was sitting next to me on my right, he also laughed. We were the only two people in the whole entire cinema laughing, and we both laughed at this. Like, I guess we were on the same wavelength for this. But we were both laughing, and there was no one else in the whole entire cinema laughing. So I guess to everyone in that room, all of a sudden two jackasses just started laughing, and as far as they could tell, for no reason. Like, we both just started laughing in sync at this. And even after the movie was finished, they didn't notice me laughing. I was on the end of my row, but they went up to Liam. They were like, "Why the hell are you laughing out loud at that one scene?" Because like he literally burst into like hysterics in a fit of laughter. Like I was as well, but not as extreme as he was. And like he was approached by someone in our group, and he was just like, "What, Liam? Why were you laughing at that?" Like he was telling everyone else about it because they didn't hear it, and he was like, "Did you hear Liam? He just burst out laughing in this one sequence." And I was like, yeah, I found it funny too. Like we were both laughing. I liked that sequence. I guess it wasn't supposed to be a joke. So what were we laughing at? It comes kind of early on into the movie, before he has his finished version of the suit. When he has the prototype version of the suit on, that's what I found funny. It's just the suit itself looked hilarious. It's like the red like sock over his head, I guess it kind of looks like. The prototype of the mask. When we first see it for the first ever time, when we first ever see the prototype of the mask, he's walking through the streets and the camera is kind of fixed, like strapped to the actor's chest. The camera is strapped to his chest, looking up at his face. So as he walks, the camera's kind of like bobbing up and down with him. And we are just staring at his face the whole entire time, staring at his mask the whole entire time. The mask itself is what I found so funny, and the way this scene was shot, I don't know, it kind of seemed kind of comical to me, like combined with the fact how funny the mask looked. It's just the mask itself, it looked funny, and we were both laughing at it. We both laughed. I guess we both just found the mask funny. And the way the scene was shot, combined with the fact that the mask looked funny, I know we both burst out laughing in that scene, and like no one else in the whole entire room was laughing. So I don't know. I guess we both just found that funny, and no one else did. And that was like the only thing that made me laugh. Like the things that were supposed to be jokes, I didn't laugh at. But this one thing, which was just not supposed to be a joke, I laughed at. Like, that was the only thing that made me laugh out loud. And that's the first time I laughed out loud in the cinema for a while as well. Like, that's the first time a movie has made me laugh out loud for a while. I feel as if Uncle Ben's death was done a lot better in the 2002 Sam Raimi film. I don't know, I just... Aunt May and Uncle Ben, I felt as if they were portrayed a lot better by the whatever actors and actresses played them back in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man film. I wasn't too fond of the actors who played them in this film. Like, they were written like fine enough, but I felt as if the Aunt May and Uncle Ben in the original Spider-Man I felt as if they were a lot more likable and more believable in the first Spider-Man film as opposed to the ones in this one. Like, these two, I didn't feel anything when Uncle Ben died, and like, when Uncle Ben dies in the first Spider-Man film, it is kind of like a tearjerker. Like, it's not as if you're bawling your eyes out at it, but it's kind of like, it does invoke some emotions out of you. Like, I did genuinely like feel sorry for Tobey Maguire when he's crying over Uncle Ben. Like, I felt as if it had more of an emotional impact in the original Spider-Man, and it is like a tearjerker as well. Like it's not as if I was actually crying or anything, but like you could feel like you gotta hold back some tears during that scene. I felt as if it's just Uncle Ben's death was done a hell of a lot better in the original Spider-Man than it was in this one. It's just a lot better, I guess. And the people who played Uncle Ben and Aunt May, they were just a lot more likable, I guess. Onto the villain. Let's go back to the villain now. So I said like the lizard, the special effects on him are great, but I'm not a fan of the face. I felt as if his face should have been longer, like he should have had a snout or something. I felt as if the character Dr. Connors, I felt as if he needed more screen time, before he became the lizard. I felt as if he should have been developed a bit more. I don't know. I felt as if his character, we should have spent a bit more time with his character. Like, I didn't really buy how his personality suddenly changed. Like, when he transforms into the lizard, he's like a completely different person. His personality just suddenly changes. I don't know, maybe the stuff that he injects himself with, maybe that kind of brings out like an aggressive side of him, so what he injects himself with, it actually changes his personality and makes him more aggressive. So maybe that explains it, I guess. But I don't know, I'm not sure if I buy that. I guess it could have been the liquid that he injected himself with, maybe that changed his personality, like made him more aggressive. But when he changes back into human form, he's still just this completely different person. Like, after he spent one night as the lizard, he's a completely different person. But yet again, maybe it's changed his personality like completely, so he's like permanently more aggressive, I guess. But it didn't really piss me off too much or anything though. I was still fine with that. Okay, what else is there? Yeah, this is one thing which I felt was superior to the original Spider-Man. How, like, the sequence, I guess, where Spider-Man Peter Parker's, like, discovering his powers, his abilities, like climbing on walls, these super reflexes. I felt as if it was handled a lot better in this film. Don't get me wrong, I like how Tobey Maguire discovered his powers, but I felt as if Andrew Garfield doing it was a lot better. Like, it's a lot more dragged out, it's a lot more drawn out, it's a lot more slower paced how he discovers his powers. Like, it happens over a longer period of time, but I felt as if it was done a lot better in this one. It was more fun and entertaining to watch in this one as opposed to Tobey Maguire's version, although I am happy with both versions. I just felt as if it was done better in this one. It's a lot more drawn out, and you get to see him like learning about his powers over a longer period of time, which I don't know, it just feels a lot better. I mean, Tobey Maguire learns about all of his abilities over the period of one morning, as opposed to this, which goes over like a few days. I just felt as if it was handled a lot better in this one. This is one, the spider sense. So, like, Spider-Man has like super reflexes. He can anticipate attacks coming from behind. and so he's got to fight him because like in this movie he's a lot more powerful than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Someone is shooting at him. A cop is standing in front of him at point blank range with a gun, and the cop shoots at him point blank range like 5 times, and he literally stands there and he just like dodges it. He's standing right in front of the person at point blank range, but he manages to just like dodge it. He just like steps to the left or right or just ducks, and he's standing in the same spot all throughout the time. So he's a lot more powerful in this one. I felt as if the spider senses were like shown, or they were just shown well. But this is one thing I didn't like. Later on in the movie, he does get like shot at. After seeing he can dodge these bullets so easily, like without no effort whatsoever, he can just dodge these bullets. He's not even trying. He just dodges them easily. Like it's just. This guy, he's fast, and he has some great reflexes. Like, he feels a lot more powerful than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So, later on in this film, he gets shot by the cops a few times, and they do make a direct hit on him with their guns or weapons. He does get hit a few times, and I just feel as if, after how fast he moves at the start of the film, I just didn't buy him actually getting hit by the cops later on in the film. I was just like, I don't know, he moves pretty fast earlier on in the film. I just don't believe him getting shot by these cops. So no, I didn't buy it. Like when he's swinging, he swings away from the cops. Like he's on the floor, he just beat up a bunch of the cops because they were trying to stop him. And when he swings away, one of them shoots him in the leg. I just don't understand why he couldn't anticipate the bullet coming from behind him, and why he couldn't have just dodged it. I just don't buy it. Like he moved fast, like really fast, in the first part of the film, and then all of a sudden he's just like really slow paced. It's like, oh, we've got to make this more suspenseful, more dramatic, let's just get him hit. It doesn't make sense, but hey, it's more suspenseful and dramatic. It just didn't work. I didn't buy him getting shot. Like when he gets shot by the taser thing, and then when he gets shot by an actual bullet in the leg later on, I just didn't buy it. I just don't understand why he got shot. I don't understand why he couldn't have avoided it. The trailer spoils what could have been an extremely suspenseful scene. At one point, Spider-Man is like handcuffed and he's surrounded by like a SWAT team, and they're all approaching him, and then they take off the mask, bang, freeze the scene. They show that in the trailer. They take off the mask when he's handcuffed in front of the police, and I felt as if, and then like the thing is, the trailer spoils what happens in the scene. The trailer spoils the resolution of the scene. Like what happens after they take off the mask. Like that's the big suspenseful moment. That's what the trailer should have shown. Them approaching him and taking off the mask, bang, end the trailer there or end the clip. But they actually show how that scene is resolved, and I felt as if they shouldn't have done that. I mean, that scene looks suspenseful as hell. Just thinking about that would have been so suspenseful. Like them actually taking off the mask, it would have been a big like whoa moment. But they show how that scene's resolved in the trailer, and I just felt as if they really shouldn't have spoiled how that scene got resolved. Like, why did they feel the need to show you the rest of that scene? That just really angered me. So when I was watching this film, I was like, oh, here we go, this is what could have been an amazingly suspenseful scene. But I know what's going to happen because I've seen the trailer, so screw you trailer guys, whoever made the trailer, screw you. Seriously, it really, really pissed me off. This could have been such a suspenseful scene, but they spoiled the resolution of it in the trailer. But then I actually watched the scene, so throughout it I was like pretty grumpy. I was like, oh god damn it, I know what's going to happen here, the trailer spoiled it, well done trailer guys. But there's actually more to it, and there's more to the scene than what the trailer showed. And what actually happened in this actual scene that the trailer didn't show, I was actually genuinely shocked. I was like, I didn't see that coming. There's a genuinely like shocking moment. I'll clarify what I mean in the spoiler section of the review a bit later on though. Coming to the end of the review here. So towards the end of the movie, it boils down to a race to the Oscorp Tower. Basically, Peter learns that the Lizard is making his way to the tower, the Oscorp Tower, and he's like racing him towards the tower. The thing is, at this point, the police are well aware that the Lizard is going on a rampage trying to get to the Oscorp Tower. They are well aware of this, and of course they are aware of Spider-Man as well. But the thing is, they focus almost all of their manpower on Spider-Man. So never mind, yeah, I understand they don't really trust Spider-Man and like they don't like him. I get that, I understand that. But then you have this lizard who is a clear threat, who is like legitimately just going around completely destroying the city and killing people, and has done before, but they feel the need to go after Spider-Man as opposed to the lizard. Why would they do that? That just doesn't make sense. Like they have this stick out for Spider-Man. Like all of the SWAT team are like, have been like arranged. They've all been set on all of these balconies down the street ready to pop out and shoot Spider-Man in like a surprise attack. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you go after Spider-Man? Why not the lizard? Sure, you don't like Spider-Man, but the lizard is a clear threat. Why wouldn't they go after him? That just does not make sense. Another thing, oh my god, this is like a terrible scene. This is the worst sequence in the whole entire movie. I was just embarrassed. I was shocked that this was put in the film. Like, oh my god, and the fact that no one in my group was bothered by the scene pissed me off even more. I will go into great detail about this scene in the spoiler section of the review, but for now I'll just call it the crane sequence. There's a sequence towards the end of the movie which I'll just call the crane sequence. And it's horrible. It's honestly one of the worst film scenes, one of the worst scenes in any movie I've ever seen. It's just so bad. Like, this scene is bad. Wow, it's really bad. I'll just call it that, the crane sequence, and I will get into it in the spoiler section of the review. But I'm just saying, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want spoilers, I'm just going to say there's a sequence involving cranes towards the end of the movie, and it's bad. Like, we're talking really, really bad. I was embarrassed to be sitting there watching this, and I could not believe that they actually thought this was a good idea. I really want to know who the hell came up with this sequence. It just, wow. Okay, I'm going to move on. I can dwindle on that scene for a long time. It's a terrible, terrible scene. Okay, so I've got one last thing to say. I don't like how the film was marketed. They keep going on about how this is the untold story of Spider-Man. Like, the thing is, as opposed to the first film, Peter's parents just died. There's not much to it. I don't even know how they died. Just thinking of it, I can't remember how they died. But anyway, I'm not even sure if it's mentioned, but okay, onto this film. Basically, there's a mystery behind his parents' death. His parents were up to something, and this movie never explains it. And I don't want anybody here coming up to me and saying they hint at it, or they are hint at it that form a complete answer throughout the movie, like what that guy says to Dr. Connors. No, they don't explain it, and I'm fine with that. I'm not complaining about it. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying, I wish they didn't market the film as the untold story and how they're going to reveal this untold story of Spider-Man if they don't actually explain. And the thing is, they don't tell you what happened to his parents. So it's just really marketed. It's marketed really badly. I felt as if it just, like, it didn't make me angry or anything. I'm just saying, they don't give you the untold story. They don't explain like the secret behind his parents or anything like that. Sure, it's kind of hinted at, but the hints aren't anything which give you a complete answer. Okay, but it's like it's left open for the sequel. So, but I don't really mind. And like I said, for any of you who attempt to say stuff like the hints form a complete answer if you look into it enough, no. If you actually stayed after the credits, like there is a scene like halfway through the credits, if you stayed for that, you will realise that because of what is said during this scene, like halfway through the credits, because of what is said there, it's clearly implied that there is something big behind his parents' death and what they were up to, and it's clearly implied that it's something big and this is going to be revealed in the next film. So no, I don't want anybody trying to bullshit that they did explain it. No, they didn't. They just didn't. So shut up. They are explaining it in the sequel. Now, we are moving on to the spoiler section of the review. So towards the end there, I know I said a lot of flaws, but I did really like the film. I really enjoyed it. It's a great film. It's a fun time. Watch it. I would say it's better than the two Spider-Man 1 and 3, but it's on par with the second one, I guess. This film it takes itself a lot more seriously. It's a bit more darker than the original films. The action scenes are really mediocre, but it's more about the story itself and the characters. Like the story and the characters is far more interesting and entertaining as a whole than the action scenes. The action scenes are just really bland and mediocre. There's nothing much to them. They're just there. Like, they are just there to, like, continue the plot. You're just like, okay, honestly, you prefer the dialogue scenes over the action scenes. The action scenes are pretty... They're not boring, but they feel like a chore to watch, almost. Like, they're just there to, like, progress the... to move on, like, yeah, progress the story. They are kind of bland. They're not too creative or anything. They're just there. And you're just kind of watching them with a blank expression. They're moderately, I guess, like, they're slightly entertaining, but they're not that good. They're not that good. Special effects are fantastic. The story and the characters as a whole are fine as far as I'm concerned. The acting's great. Andrew Garfield is on par with Tobey Maguire, if not better. And yeah, just check it out. It's a really entertaining and fun movie. It's a damn good superhero movie. Watch it. However, it has one of the worst sequences in cinematic history towards the end of this movie, which I shall refer to as the crane sequence. This is a really bad sequence. I can't believe this got passed. I can't believe they actually did this. I was so shocked. Okay, so let's move on. So here come the spoilers. So leave now if you don't want spoilers. So I don't have much to say. I will say, when that kid was in the during the bridge sequence, this kid's in a car and the lizard throws the car off the edge, and then, like, Spider-Man is like, he hangs the car from the edge of the bridge. Then he goes down to save the kid who's in the car. I was actually shocked, because the car gets lit on fire and then the web snaps and then the car starts falling with the kid inside. And I was like, oh, okay. Because what they do, they try to make out as if Spider-Man's actually just about to save the kid. Like, he's about to grab his hand, and then all of a sudden the web snaps and the car collapses into the water. I was like, whoa, oh, okay, they are actually killing off this kid. Like, when that happened, my eyes widened. And then all of a sudden Spider-Man shoots his web and it connects with the kid and he pulls the kid out the car. And the kid's safe. He lives. And then I was like, oh, god damn it. Like, we always secretly hope the kid's gonna die in these sort of situations in superhero movies, just because it's dark and edgy and unexpected, and we love that kind of stuff. So, like, I was like, whoa, when the web actually snapped, because in that, like, for like 2 seconds there, I actually thought they were gonna kill the kid. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But then all of a sudden he shoots his web at the kid and pulls him out at the last second. Then I was like, oh god. Like, I was so disappointed. I was just like, please kill the kid. I was so good. Like, we always secretly hope they do something really dark and edgy in situations like that with the kids in superhero movies, but oh, whatever. It's just a minor thing. I just wish I really wish he let the kid go. That would have been cool. Okay, so oh yeah, I think I needed to clarify something about the suspense in the scene where the police are taking off the mask of Spider-Man. Yeah, what I found really shocking was that he does take off his mask and reveal his face to Gwen's father, who is like the leader of the police force. I was actually shocked when he took off the mask. I didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't hear about that before watching the movie. I didn't know that he learns the identity of Spider-Man. So when that actually happened, I was like, oh, okay. And then even when he gets killed by the lizard at the end of the movie, I was surprised by that. I didn't see that coming either. I didn't know he dies. I was like, oh, whoa. I didn't see that coming. Okay, so I want to bitch about the crane sequence for half an hour now. Not literally, but I gotta explain this. It's just so ridiculous. So for those of you who haven't seen the movie and watching this anyway, wow, this is just a really bad sequence. This is what happens. Allow me to lay down the ground rules. So Spider-Man gets shot by the police in the leg. But this is like, so he's racing towards the Oscorp building before trying to get there, like before the lizard does. So he gets shot in the leg. Like, we're talking like the calf muscle, the lower leg, lower part of the leg, below the knee and the back. It's like the calf muscle. And oh my god, like this sequence really bothered me. It really bothered me. So he gets shot in the leg, and all of a sudden this like really hinders his abilities to swing. Like, he's doing all these backflips fine, like, he's mastered, like, his swinging powers. I mean, well, he uses a device, don't he, but he's mastered this swinging thing with the web. But this one bullet wound in his leg, I understand, he got shot, so this would hurt, I would imagine. I mean, I've never been shot before, obviously, but I guess it would hurt a lot. But he got shot in the leg. I mean, if he got shot in the arm, I guess I would understand. But like I said, I understand getting shot in the leg would hurt. But it doesn't. I don't think. To me, it just doesn't make sense as to why he can't just swing to the Oscorp building. Like, this is what happens. This is the scene. The Oscorp building is at the end of like a massive road. So it's like a straight line to the Oscorp building. To be fair, it's quite a distance. But it's a straight line to get to the Oscorp building. And because he's been shot in the leg, Spider-Man cannot swing in a straight line. Like, I understand when you, like, if you just try to picture this, let's say Spider-Man's trying to swing down in a straight line, he's gonna have to shoot a web at the left building or the building. I was really getting into that rant there about that damn crane sequence, but I ran out of memory, so I just had to delete some stuff from the hard drive of the video camera. So here I go again. So let's go. What was I talking about? Right. So I do understand. Like, if you try to picture like Spider-Man swinging down going down a straight line in New York, he has to shoot his web at the building on the left, or right. And when he does this, he will kind of begin swinging kind of towards the building. Like, I understand that. Like, he's going to be swinging forward, but kind of to the left. Like, so if he shot a building like on the left, so he would be swinging forwards, but kind of towards the building as well, like kind of diagonally towards the building. I understand that. And then when he's but the thing is, that doesn't make. I don't understand why he still can't just swing in a straight line just because he got shot in the leg. Like, sure. So when he's about to hit the building, shoot another web to the right. So then he'll be traveling diagonally towards that building. Then when he's about to hit that building, shoot one to the left, and then just rinse and repeat until he gets to the Oscorp building. It just does not make sense. I don't care what anybody says. I just cannot comprehend why this hinders his ability. It just does not make. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, the way he just does all these backflips, he's really mastered his swinging technique and stuff. But this, I just don't understand why getting shot in the leg just hinders him from swinging in a straight line to get to the Oscorp building. It makes no sense whatsoever, and really bugged me. Like, instead, like, this is what happens. He shoots a web to like try and swing towards the Oscorp building, but then all of a sudden it just does not make sense. He just swings towards the building. Like, instead of just swinging as he always does, he's like, okay, I'm not gonna shoot a web this time because I got shot in the leg. So he just swings into the building and he hits the building and he's like, oh, like he actually like goes into the thing instead of like holding onto it like he always does. It's just like, he just swings into the building and he's like, oh, and like hits his face on it, and then he climbs to the top of it. It's like, why? No, why don't you just swing? I can't understand how anybody could defend this, or what the logic is behind this. The thing is, so I've kind of set the ground rules for you now, if you haven't seen the film. I guess, I hope I've explained why I don't understand why he can't swing to the Oscorp building. Like, the power is in your arms. If you were swinging like Spider-Man, the power is coming from your arms, not your legs. It just, no, makes no sense. Well, maybe a bit from your legs, but I still don't buy that his ability to swing has been completely removed because he got shot in the leg. Now, the thing is, if you haven't seen this movie, and hopefully you're on my side and you're like, whoa, that does sound pretty stupid. I think you're right there. So hopefully I got some people on my side who haven't seen the movie and are watching this. But the thing is, you thought that was bad. This scene gets 100 more times ridiculous. Oh wow, this is terrible. This is what happens. There's a helicopter in the air, and they're like broadcasting live. Like, there's like a news reporter, like some guys like, you know, filming Spider-Man, is being broadcasted live onto the news. So earlier on in the film, on the bridge, Spider-Man saved this guy's son, and the father is watching this, and the reporter is like focusing on Spider-Man, saying like he got shot in the leg, and then the guy's like, so the reporter's saying something like, Spider-Man got shot in the leg so he can't swing around. How the hell did he come to that conclusion? I don't know. Like, why would that, like I said, why would that inhibit you from swinging around? It makes no sense. But, back to what I'm talking about. So the guy who was watching this, he so the reporter's like, Spider-Man's been shot in the leg, he can't swing. Okay, so then the guy's like, don't worry Spider-Man, I'm coming for you. And then he rings up someone, he's like, yo dude, what's he do? He says, I think he speaks to his friend, like he's watching the news with his friend, and he's like, yo, is Bob still working as a crane operator? He says something like that, and then he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, okay, get him on the phone. So this is what happens. I guess he rings up Bob, who is a crane operator, and then this is what happens. There's a crane on top of every single building, going down from the Oscorp building to where Spider-Man is. There's a crane on top of every single building, and they all rotate. So like, there's a building by here, there's a crane on top of each one. The cranes are like facing that way, then all of a sudden the cranes go, like all of them turn like that, so they're all like hanging over like the middle, over the street. All of the cranes on top of the buildings move horizontally like that, so they are hanging over the street. So then like Spider-Man, so then like it's so this way Spider-Man can shoot his web at the cranes, as opposed to having to shoot the webs at the buildings to the left and right. First, I don't understand this. Like, how did they even come up with this idea? When they were actually physically writing the script and thinking about ideas, how did they actually come up with this? I would love to know the thought process behind this. What were they thinking? Like, they were like, okay, so Spider-Man gets shot in the leg. How would Spider-Man get to the Oscorp building if he got shot in the leg? Cranes. Like, I don't understand how the word cranes could suddenly pop into someone's head. I really can't comprehend this. I honestly find it baffling. Like, honestly, I honestly find it confusing. I still don't quite understand the scene. I honestly find it really confusing. So this is what happens. All of the things rotate. All of the cranes are like hanging over the street, so Spider-Man can shoot at them, as opposed to the buildings on the left and the right. So this is what he does. He shoots a web at his leg wound, so it covers up the leg wound and I guess cauterizes it, maybe, I don't know. But it's going to stop the bleeding, I guess. So he shoots a web at his leg wound, only just now. Why he didn't do that before, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, he has the power to run. He gets up and runs. Something he couldn't do before. So he gets up, runs, and all of a sudden he can swing. He can swing perfectly all of a sudden. No movie. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand the idea behind this scene. I honestly don't understand the idea behind it. I just can't understand the logic. Like, I don't understand what they are trying to say. Like, Spider-Man can't swing because he got shot in the leg. Why can't he swing? Why can he swing because there's these cranes above him? It does not make sense. And like, I was saying this to my friends, and they were like, I don't know. They were just like, no, it does make sense. And I understand. I guess it would be easier. It's easier for Spider-Man to use the cranes because he can do it in a straight line. Like, he can shoot directly above his head as opposed to shooting to the left and right. So like, when he like I said, when he shoots to the left, he's going to be moving forward but slightly to the left towards the building at the same time. He's moving diagonally. But it's not that much harder. I mean, like I said, he can swing fine on these cranes, but he can't swing from building to building. I don't understand what they were going for. I understand this scene shows that the citizens trust him, they're grateful for him, but you could have showed this through another scene. Just show it through like people being interviewed for the news on their opinion on Spider-Man. They could have showed it through that, and then the guy whose son was saved could have been one of the people who got interviewed. Like they did that in the first Spider-Man movie. They had a bunch of people being interviewed and giving their opinions on Spider-Man. Some people like him, some people don't. They could have just done that with this movie. Instead, they have this really stupid ass nonsensical scene with these stupid ass cranes, and it just does not make sense. It makes zero sense. No one can ever justify this scene. I can't. There's no logic. It really baffles me. Like, it really, like, I was legit, and like, I'm not joking. When I watched this in the cinemas, I was legitimately confused. I was like, I was genuinely confused. I was sitting there like, well, I don't understand what's going on. Like, and when the movie was over, I was like trying to think back to the scene and trying to think, well, was there something I missed? But I don't know. Then when I said it to my friends, and the stupid ass reason they gave me, I was like, okay, so they did mess up. Thank you for confirming my beliefs. Because they tried to justify it saying, oh, because he got shot in the leg, he can't swing from building to building because it's too difficult. I was like, no. It's not that much more difficult. I mean, his legs wouldn't affect him being able to swing from building to building. Sure, he could do it a bit faster and he could do a backflip, I guess, because you kind of you got to use the lower part of your body, I guess, to kind of thrust yourself to do a backflip. But he could still swing normally down, like, through the buildings to get to the end. It just makes no sense. I really have a hard time understanding the scene. And what makes this even worse, it's not as if this little sequence goes on for like 60 seconds, like Spider-Man on the roof, and then like the guy wakes up, rings his friends, and then all of the cranes align in like 2 seconds, and then Spider-Man swings through them instantly. No, this scene goes on for like a good 7 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. This sequence goes on for like 7 minutes, and that's what makes it even worse. It's not just like a 30-second scene. It's like a 7-minute sequence, and it's just so boring, so stupid. It just made no sense. Just like god awful scene. And then this is even worse. All of the cranes turn at once, as well. Like, what a coincidence. All of the cranes turn at once. I'm not sure if, can all of the cranes be controlled? Like, I'm not sure how they work. I don't think this is possible. But can all of the cranes be controlled but from one controller? Are all of the cranes being controlled from one controller, and that's how they all turned at the exact same time? What makes it not make any more sense is, so it's like 11 o'clock at night or something. Like, it's in the night. I don't know what time it is, but this happens during the night. And the thing is, the police are evacuating the city because at this point the Lizard has thrown like a few of these gas bombs, which are transforming people into lizards. He's thrown a few of them off at this point of the movie, and so like the police are evacuating the city. And the thing is, the guy whose like son was saved by Spider-Man, he's like his friend's like, but they evacuated the city, and he's like, but Spider-Man needs my help. And then he starts calling his friend Bob, who's like a crane operator. So I guess Bob called, after being convinced by this guy, called all of his other friends who are also crane operators. So somehow they all got to these cranes in a matter of seconds. It makes no sense. So they all got it. Like, this does happen in a very short amount of time, a short space of time. So all of these guys get into these cranes in the short space of 30 seconds somehow, and like, these guys haven't been evacuated by the police for starters. What a coincidence. And all of them decide to actually go to these cranes. What a coincidence. Even though the police are clearly evacuating the city, a lizard has thrown a bunch of gas bombs off into the city. So like, clearly something bad's going down. But regardless, they're like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm brave enough to do this, sure. Like, what a coincidence. They all decide to come anyway. Like, under the circumstances, all of them decide to come anyway. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And like, how all of the cranes turn at the same time, and these, like, I still can't get over the fact that all of these cranes turn in like 30 seconds after the scene with the guy saying, call Bob, the crane operator. Like, literally like 20 or 30 seconds after he says that, all of the cranes align. So this happens in the space of like 30 seconds. How the hell did they get to these cranes in time? It makes zero sense whatsoever. It's a terrible sequence. What were they thinking? I think I'm done bitching about that scene. It was just a really terrible scene. Wow. I mean, I did complain about this after, and my friends were like, my friends didn't think it was a big deal. They were like, what are you talking about? That scene was fine. I'm not sure. It can't be just me. This scene was bad. I can't understand. I don't understand why they didn't think it was bad. I was like, you really don't see anything wrong with that scene? And they were like, no. I was like, I just don't get it. I just don't get that scene. It makes no sense. Okay, so I think I'm done. I think I ranted on about that little sequence for like 10 minutes. It is a terrible sequence. Like it is honestly hands down, without even having to think about it or hesitate, the worst part of the movie. Worst part of the movie, hands down. Don't even have to hesitate to think about it. Worst part of the movie. Possibly one of the worst movie scene sequences in history. It's terrible. It's really bad. I can't stress how bad this is. And how long it goes on for just makes it even more embarrassing. I just don't understand how the scriptwriters came up with the idea of using cranes to help Spider-Man across. It makes zero sense whatsoever. It's just so random and out of the blue as well. It's just really random. Like, this crane idea would never have come to my mind in a million years. It just makes no sense. Okay, so that's my thoughts on Spider-Man. I'm going to leave it at that. Terrible, terrible sequence. But overall, the movie was still a great, great movie. Definitely worth watching. It's a damn fine movie, if you ask me. But that damn crane sequence, it's so bad. It's so bad. It is really bad. It's so bad. Like it's bad. It is bad. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to talk about the trailers though. I think I should start doing this, talking about the trailers. I like talking about movies, so I'm going to talk about the trailers. We got this Ben Stiller comedy. Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn are in it. Some sort of neighborhood watch crew come across some aliens, and it's like a comedy one as well. I don't know. It looks okay. Like I'm not a fan of comedy movies, but it looks okay. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was called Neighborhood Watch, or The Watchers, or Watchdog, or The Watchdog. It's something along those lines. Neighborhood Watch. It's something like that. We got the trailer for The Dark Knight Rises. Oh man, I love seeing that trailer. I've seen that trailer like 3 or 4 times now in the cinemas before before I've watched a movie, and I love watching that trailer in the movies. Like I said before, watching it on a YouTube screen is one thing, but with surround sound and a massive like 1,000,000-inch TV screen, I dig it. I love it. And every single time I've watched in the cinemas, they've shown the same trailer. It's the trailer with the football stadium. You know, when they show the football stadium collapsing. It's the same trailer every time, but I never get tired of seeing that trailer. And all of my friends, everybody I'm with always makes fun of Bane's voice. Personally, I think Bane's voice sounds really cool and badass. But like they try this, you know, they just take the piss out of it about like how you can't really understand what he's saying. And they just do all these impressions of it. But I'm fine with that. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to The Dark Knight Rises. Oh my god, like I'm going to watch that movie at 5 AM. The first ever shown in the UK is at 5 AM, so I'm really excited for it. I will be reviewing Batman Begins and The Dark Knight as well before The Dark Knight Rises. I can't wait to see that movie. I'm really getting excited for The Dark Knight Rises. I can't really think of any other trailers we saw. We got the Bourne Legacy, I think it was called, is like the 4th film. I think it's 4th, maybe 3rd. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any of the Bourne films. They are supposed to be good. So I've got them on DVD. I've had them on DVD for years. I just haven't gone around and watching them. So I guess I'll have to just watch them eventually. I guess I'll have to check them out before I see this new one. I'm not too interested in it. I guess I might be more interested in it when I actually watch the previous movies. They are supposed to be good movies, so I'll have to watch them sometime. But judging from the trailer and not having seen the previous movies, it looks okay. It looks good. We got the trailer for The Expendables 2. I thought the first film was okay. The Expendables 2, it looks fun, or you know, whatever. Hopefully Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis will have a bigger role in it. I've heard that they do, but I hope they do have big roles in it. Like, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, man, and Bruce Willis. They you know, enough said. Give them big roles. The Total Recall remake, I haven't seen the original. The remake looks okay, nothing too special. It looks alright. I can't really think of any other trailers we got. There weren't any kids movies or anything like that. Yeah, okay. I think I'm done. I'm just looking forward to The Dark Knight Rises. But yeah, The Amazing Spider-Man, great film. And that's the end of the video, so thanks for watching, see ya.